Let's get to the USAID,
You said,
USAID hullabaloo. Because, man, I got to tell you, I'm not ashamed to admit. I mean, maybe I'm a little ashamed. I'm this much ashamed to admit that did not know anything about this agency before yesterday.
I don't think a lot of people did, and I think that was by design. I think if they
Yeah,
didn't
that's
want
probably
us
right.
to know who they were or what they were doing because they're complete criminals. That's why.
Yeah, it's such a scam, you
Yeah.
guys, such a scam. And the way that you know that it's a scam is by how freaked out the Democrats are and how strongly
Totally.
they're fighting for it, because
Yeah.
they don't give a shit about any potential person overseas that it might be helping. They care about lining their own pockets. This is like
Right.
the perfect evidence of the deep state is USAID.
Mhm.
And Elon Musk held a Twitter space, which included Vivek, it included Joni Ernst and others, to talk about what he had discovered about USAID. And the bottom line is that it is a ball of worms. Those are his words, as you'll hear right here.
As we dug into USAID, it became apparent that what we have here is not an apple with a worm in it, but we have actually just a ball of worms. And so at the point at which you don't merely, like, if you've got an apple and it's got a worm in it, maybe you can take the worm out. But if you've got actually just a ball of worms, it's hopeless. And USAID is a ball of worms. There is no apple. And when there is no apple, you've just got to basically get rid of the whole thing. That is why it's got to go. You know, it's beyond repair. So yeah.
Well,
Yeah. And pay very close attention to the people who are panicking and freaking out about this and grandstanding about it, like getting up on podiums and doing the freaking out. Pay attention to those people. Those are precisely the people that need to be investigated.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And the things that this agency was spending money on
oh my God.
It's absolutely atrocious. Yeah, it's obscene. It's exactly right. So yesterday, like at some point during the day, early afternoon, I think, it was announced that Marco Rubio was placed in charge or placed as acting director of USAID, and that it's always been an agency that has supposed to have reported up through the State Department, but according to Marco Rubio, never has. Like, it's been completely acting as if it has no oversight whatsoever. And he's putting a stop to that immediately, which is great because, as you're going to see from the next several screenshots, the spending by this agency has been, to your point, obscene. It was revealed that they gave millions to Wuhan in 2019. Then attempted, to cover that up. And then there were more specifics. They funneled $53 million to EcoHealth Alliance, which you've heard that name before. Rand Paul has gone crazy over EcoHealth Alliance. They used the funds for coronavirus research. There was a congressman who uncovered that USAID awarded over $1 million to EcoHealth Alliance for research at Wuhan.
Oh my God.
CBS News report mentioned that the US government may have double billed for research in Wuhan. The DoD provided $39 million to EcoHealth Alliance. This is via USAID. Google.org, along with USAID, funded EcoHealth Alliance research on coronaviruses. I mean, they have their fingerprints all over that.
Yeah.
All over it.
Yeah.
And there's more.
It wasn't a bat, you guys. It wasn't a bat. Just FYI.
Yeah, there's so many examples. So Guatemala got $2 million to strengthen trans-led organizations to deliver gender-affirming healthcare.
And they did. And let's get real. They didn't. This is all money laundering. Right. They didn't get any of that freaking money for any of those things, which is all bullshit anyway. We all know it's all bullshit. This is all money laundering. It's all it's crime. This is just crime.
It's the ball of worms. It's a ball of worms.
So who got it? Like, who got rich? I want to know who got rich. And I want all those people to go straight to jail.
There's a lot. There are some individuals that have been named and a lot of NGOs who have been named who are getting cut off immediately. They apparently also spent 40 billion plus of our dollars to fund foreign aid, 45 million to DEI scholarships in Burma.
Unbelievable.
$520 million for consultant-driven ESG investments in Africa, $1.2 billion in awards to undisclosed recipients.
1.2
Are
billion.
you freaking kidding me?
1.2 billion to we don't know. I don't know. What?
Here's one dude.
It's just taxpayer money, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. This is one dude that got named, Stephen Leonelli of DC, got almost $1 million to support development, democracy, and innovation, inclusive development hub programs, protecting the rights of lesbian, gay, and all intersex individuals. It's just madness, you guys.
Scam. It's all a scam.
The biggest scam.
Our founders are spinning in their graves. And we wonder why we're broke. We wonder.
Yeah. And look at this. Over the last few years, 20 million on a Sesame Street show in Iraq.
Oh my God.
56 million to boost Egyptian and Tunisia tourism, 40 million to build schools in Jordan, 150 grand for Korean kids to visit DC, and $11 million to tell Vietnamese to stop burning trash.
I feel like I could have done that for $0.
Right? Do they not have email? Could they just not have sent an email about that?
Apparently not. No.
Oh my God. It's just,
it's painful. It's painful to look at this.
Yep. Which is why, to your point, Elon Musk said this is another description for these types of payments is money laundering.
Totally.
That's exactly what it is.
Right. And when I hear these people on the left and I see it on my social media and they're like, Elon Musk is just a citizen. Why is he in charge of the US Treasury? This is what I see all the time.
Why do you not want him to be looking at how to save your money?
Exactly. I want to take these lists and I'm going to be like, are you okay with this? Well, then you pay for it.
Right.
Yeah. A-hole. I mean, it's like, this is the thing. They are, for some reason, liberals are delighted with taking my money and your money and their own money and setting it directly on fire. And I will never understand these people. They are absolute masochists. I don't get it.
It's absolutely crazy. Marco talked about this in a couple of different interviews. Here's the first one.
Look, I mean, my frustration with USAID goes back to my time in Congress. It's a completely unresponsive agency. It's supposed to respond to policy directives of the State Department, and it refuses to do so. So the functions of USAID, there are a lot of functions of USAID that are going to continue, that are going to be part of American foreign policy, but it has to be aligned with American foreign policy. I said very clearly during my confirmation hearing that every dollar we spend and every program we fund, that will be aligned with the national interest of the United States. And USAID has a history of sort of ignoring that and deciding that they're somehow a global charity separate from the national interest. These are taxpayer dollars. And so I'm very troubled by these reports that they've been unwilling to cooperate with people who are asking simple questions about what does this program do, who gets the money, who are our contractors, who's funded. And that sort of level of insubordination makes it impossible to conduct the sort of mature and serious review that I think foreign aid writ large should have. We're spending taxpayer money here. These are not donor dollars. These are taxpayer dollars. And we owe the American people the assurances that every dollar we are spending abroad is being spent on something that furthers our national interest.
Troubled is a kind word. Troubled is kind. Don't you think? I mean,
he's so
very
good.
He is very, very good. Yeah. But I mean, like, they funded illegal immigration into the United States. They funded Hamas
through these NGOs. Yeah.
Right. They just handed out money like it was, I mean, you see what all this stuff, just like it was candy, and they were giving it to other countries. First of all, if we're broke, we shouldn't be giving any money to any other country ever.
Right.
To anybody outside of the United States. I think that's just a personal opinion, but I feel like the founders were in line with what I'm thinking. Like, we're broke. No money for anybody anywhere except for within the confines of this country. Like, it's just absurd that these people were like, let's just go ahead and give $11 million to tell people not to burn trash. And what was it? Korea? I can't remember what it was. Taiwan?
Vietnam.
Vietnam. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. It's like, what are we doing? Like, how does this even happen? Who decides? And like, we know that that's not even what's happening. We know that it's absolute theft. It's just theft. And so
it's so rotten. It's so rotten to the core, which is why the worm analogy is so spot on. Like
it is
he's saying the whole thing needs to just be set on fire. And even Trump said yesterday, I love the idea of USAID. I love the idea of soft power and using it in ways that it is intended to advance our own interests. But that's not what's happening. It's corrupt to the core.
Right.
And I'm so glad that somebody like Marco Rubio is now kind of on top of it, in charge of it, able to direct what's going on. He was in an interview also on Fox where he had this to say.
USAID. The head of Doge, Elon Musk, called USAID a criminal organization and added that it is time for it to die. Do you agree with that?
They have basically evolved into an agency that believes that they're not even a U.S. government agency, that they are a global charity, that they take the taxpayer money and they spend it as a global charity, irrespective of whether it is in the national interest or not in the national interest. One of the most common complaints you will get if you go to embassies around the world from State Department officials and ambassadors and the like is USAID is not only not cooperative, they undermine the work that we're doing in that country. They are supporting programs that upset the host government for whom we're trying to work with on a broader scale and so forth. So they're completely unresponsive. They just don't consider that they work for the U.S. They just think they're a global entity and that their master is the globe and not the United States.
Unreal.
And that's not what the statute says, and that's not sustainable.
Can it be reformed or does it need to die?
Well, that was always the goal, was to reform it. But now we have rank insubordination. Now we have basically an active effort where their basic attitude is we don't work for anyone. We work for ourselves. No agency of government can tell us what to do. So the president made me the acting administrator. I've delegated that power to someone who's there full time, and we're going to go through the same process at USAID as we're going through now at the State Department.
You know, and you work for us. It's
our money.
It's my money. It's your money. It's our money. And they're like, oh, we work for ourselves. Bullshit. We work for ourselves. We're entrepreneurs.
Right.
You work for me. And I'd like to know what their salaries are and what their pensions are.
Well, I didn't even think about what they're actually making at the agency.
I'd love to know what they're making, and I'd love to know what their pensions are. I'm going to have to dive into that today and then I'll have to drink. I'll have to I don't even drink, and I may have to drink today because that will absolutely depress me. I can't. These people are so entitled.
Trisha says there's 10,000 employees.
Oh my God, I cannot. And those 10,000 employees get a pension. While you guys, I mean, seriously, we have to figure out how we're going to pay for our own retirement and for all of our own crap and then pay for their retirement. I hate these people. I hate them.
And to your point earlier, look at who is protesting this. Look at who is upset because protests happened outside of USAID. Yesterday, there was a big crowd of not only Democrat Congress people, but also likely a bunch of just normal Joe Schmoes who were paid likely to be there. Because honestly, who are the regular day-to-day people who would be fighting against their money being looked at to make sure it's being spent properly? Like
we know who they are. We know.
Crazy.
It's like we know. These are crazy. It's like pay very close attention to the people who it's like what is it that me doth you protest too much? What is that saying? You know? It's just pay attention to who's panicking. And then you know who the jerks are, you know, you can weed them out. You can see exactly who the actual criminals are, because if they're out there protesting this and they're like, oh my gosh, it's like, this is terrible that you're going to shut us down. Okay, well, this is exactly who you need to investigate.